All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back. We are live. Welcome back to our weekly live feed, you guys. If you are just joining us, like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, all the fun things. Comment in and let us know where you're coming in from for tonight's live stream. You made it live. You made it live. Yes, you made it live. I am live on Instagram and I'm live on YouTube right now. I am going to go off live of Instagram in just a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to keep it live there just for a moment so you guys know where I am. Go on over to YouTube. If you are logging on Instagram, you will see screen shares over there. It is a much better experience on YouTube. Sean's Couture Cuties over on YouTube. Tonight, we are doing the much anticipated live Olympia predictions, and we got a lot of people on right now that we're apparently waiting for this. Before we get into this, I'm going to shout out our sponsors here. So our first sponsor I want to shout out is Liquid Sun Rayz. They have a fantastic stage tan. That is who sprayed me this past weekend in Southern Muscle Showdown, my shirt right here. Probably one of the best tans I've had ever. Also same as in Daytona, also Liquid Sun Rayz. I have used nothing but Liquid Sun Rayz since I first started competing. So scan that QR code right there. Cuties15 gets you a discount on all their products and services. So make sure you log that in the back of your head anytime you need it. I also want to shout out Prozis, our other channel sponsor, where I get all of my supplementation from, food, clothing, activewear. I've got my booty band that I use to pump up backstage is from Prozis, everything. So they have everything. It's almost like the Amazon of supplements, and they're based out of Portugal. So all of their products are tested and tried and true and fantastic quality. So there is our shout outs for our sponsors tonight. And of course, if you want to keep up with me, this is our code for our free newsletter. This is boldlyconquer.com. Go ahead and sign up for that. It is a free newsletter. We do it once a month and kind of highlight everything that we've been doing throughout the month, as well as lots of tips and tricks and things that you can use to get better with your training and your show experience. We got, all right, where are we coming in from? Let's get rid of all of these QR codes. We have, let's see, North Carolina, Canada, Washington, Niagara Falls, New Jersey, Michigan, New Mexico, all over the place. So before we get started here, I am going to log off of Instagram. So if you are joining us on Instagram, go over to Sean's Couture Cuties on YouTube so you can watch over there, all right? So guys, YouTube is where you want to be. I'm going to log off of Instagram, y'all. All right. Let me just put the cover up here. And I'm going to share that. All right, perfect. We got Texas. Okay, guys, so tonight is the much anticipated preview and predictions for the Bikini Olympia. Bikini Olympia. So as you guys are logging on, of course, you're saying, where you're coming in from, all of that. Fantastic. Also tell me, are you going to be in Vegas? Who's going to the Olympia this year? Tell me if you're going to be there in person. I will be there live. I am heading out on Thursday, bright and early Thursday morning. I plan on covering the wellness prejudging and the bikini prejudging from my Spotify. Depending on how they have it set up, I may do it straight to YouTube, just like I did at like Nashville Fit Show and things like that. I'll pull up my restream. It just depends on what the signal is like, what they're allowing us to do, all those kinds of things. So just be prepared. If I can go live on YouTube, I will, because I think it's a better platform in general. So, what I've done at some shows is I just kind of film my face because I can't film the stage. I don't know how strict they're going to be about filming and things like that. I don't think they're going to be super strict. I don't think they can be. It's an expo hall, but I also don't know how the signal is going to be. So So we'll see. Just stay tuned. I will keep you guys updated, obviously, through Instagram stories and things like that, let you know what's going on, all of that. I do plan on, like I said, going to both prejudgings and covering those. I will be going to the watch party at whatever club it is on Saturday night, because I want to do that. It's a little bit better of experience. But what I do suggest you do is I suggest you get the live stream for the Olympia and then follow along with my commentary. That's what a lot of people do. I tend to go in a little bit deeper, all of that. So that's a great way to do it. Get the actual live stream for the Olympia itself, and then listen to me. Right? All right, we got one that's going to be in Vegas right there. And yes, prayers for Florida for sure. Again, getting hit a second time in a row. A couple of years ago, we were thinking about moving down there, and right now I'm counting my lucky stars that we didn't. So this is the most exciting Bikini Olympia I can remember. I bought the live stream, hope to make it in person next year. Yeah. So this is going to be a Bikini Olympia for the ages for sure. There's a lot of great storylines going on. There's a lot of potentials that could be going on. Let me say, just hearing your commentary. I know, right? I know. Hey, like I said, my phone, they can call me anytime. Till then, I'll just do it on my own channel. It's all good. But yeah, so this Bikini Olympia this year, I mean, clearly we will not have a repeat champion because Jennifer Dory is out. She is not competing. So we may have somebody come back and win it again. Issa has won it in the past. Maureen has won it in the past. Ashley has won it in the past. Angelica has won it in the past. So we have several past Olympia champions getting on this stage. And then, of course, we have Laura Lee, who has been second, I don't even know how many times. I've predicted her to win so many times, and she's never won it. Girls gotta prove me right at some point, So that's an interesting storyline right there in and of itself. What would be the biggest storyline, I think, would be if Ashley Kaltwasser was to come back and win it again. It would be her 50th win if she was to win it again, after, not winning it for several years now and being, top 5, top 3, that kind of thing. Coming back and winning it for her 50th. It's a very real possibility. That she could come back and actually win the title. She was 3rd last year. You know what I mean? So, there is a potential of a competitor that could pull out. She has not yet. This was something that was brought to attention this past weekend. She has not pulled out though. So I expect her to be on that stage at this point. If they haven't pulled out, I don't think they're going to. I think they're just going to say, okay, let's just do it regardless. However, because I know this about this particular competitor, it has actually influenced my picks. It has influenced my own picks. So you'll probably figure out what that is as we go along. I don't know what the scenario is there, but this particular person has not pulled out as of right now. So unless something catastrophic happens, I expect to see them on stage. I do expect to see them on stage. So, and I have to give props to that regardless of what's going on in people's lives. Like, this is something that's been in the news the last week because of Nick Walker pulling out, right? So a lot of the bodybuilding gurus out there are pissed, for lack of a better word, that he pulled out. Basically just saying you should just follow through with your commitment and get on stage because people want to see you on stage and things like that. So I'm not going to sit here and speculate on his reasonings why he's pulling out and all those kinds of things. But I think that that's a valid opinion. He committed to being on stage at the Olympia, regardless of what you look like. Follow through with your commitment and go through with it. I mean, I agree with that. Even if you're not at your best, still get on stage. So again, if this particular person is having, issues or whatever, and they decided to still just plug through and get on stage, props, massive props. Shit happens. We all have problems. We all have issues. But if somebody commits to something, I give them major, major props for following through, even if it's not at their best. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in this particular scenario. Again, I'm not gonna roll this person under the bus or anything like that, because I think that even if they are not at their best, I think it's admirable that they are still getting on stage regardless. So that said, like I said, they have not pulled out. So unless it's a last minute, really, really last minute decision, they're not pulling out, right? So I assumed that if it was going to happen, it was probably going to happen by Monday this week, and they haven't done it. So, so the show must go on, right? I think, and again, comment for me. What do you think? What do you think? Just take a hypothetical situation where, you know, you've got somebody who knows they're not going to be at their best, or they've got something going on personally, or whatever it may be. Would you want them to compete anyway? Or do you think it's okay for them to pull out? You know, a la Nick Walker, right? What do you think about that situation? Before we get into this, why not throw it in there? Throw in your 2 cents. What do you think about the Nick Walker situation? Do you think he made the right call pulling out, or do you think he should have just followed through and gotten on stage? Right? What do you think? Do you think he made the right choice pulling out, or do you think he should have just gone through with it and gotten on stage? What do you think? I'll give you guys a minute to answer. "100% agree. The show must go on. There are legit reasons to pull out, but the bar should be really high." Agree. Now, and I also think that there's a difference between pulling out and not signing your contract. I think there's a difference in that. There's another men's open bodybuilding competitor, Nathan Diasha, who qualified, but is not competing. And he gave lots of reasons why he's not competing. His main one being that he just doesn't feel like he can win the Olympia. He's got some other things going on too, but he never signed his contract. He never committed to actually competing. So in that scenario, I have no problem with that. He didn't commit to the show, right? So would you say the same thing to Jen Dory? Nope, because she didn't commit to it. If you sign the contract, get on stage, unless it's for health reasons or death in the family or a close friend or something. Agreed. I guess it depends on the situation, death or severe illness or accident of a loved one. I think very valid reason to not do a major show, like pulling out because you're legit sick, injured, or have a sick family member to take care of, then by all means pull out. But pulling out because I'm not 100% seems unprofessional. Correct. Agreed. He didn't share enough to just pull out like that. Yeah. And again, I don't think he necessarily needs to tell the world, you know, his most intimate personal. I don't think that that's necessarily something that they have to do. However, he's so open about his whole competing journey. I think it's kind of expected. If it was somebody else, I don't think, again, my beef, I guess, with it is, from what it sounds like to me, it just sounds like he's not going to be at 100%, and that's why he pulled out. If it's something more serious than that, then, you know, again, if it's serious injury, death, whatever, that kind of thing, 100% agree. 100% agree. But from the sound of what he put out there, it sounds like he just felt like he wasn't going to look his best. So that's why he pulled out. Right. I know Nathan Burrows have these issues. I understand that. Nathan also came out and said that he wasn't going to do it because he didn't feel like he could win it as well. So I understand that as well. Correct. Jennifer Dory set the expectation right. Absolutely. She even came out and did an interview and talked about how she had told the Olympia promoters a long time ago that she wasn't going to do it. She just didn't make it public. She didn't make it public, but she had told them a long time ago. Yep. Yeah, and I don't agree with pulling out of the Arnolds either. If you've signed a contract, you know, that puts people in a tough position. You know, puts people in a tough position. You follow through. You know, the expectation has been set. You follow through, right? Yep. And I get it. I mean, he's been pushing hard. I understand that you know, that happens. Then don't sign your contract. Don't sign your contract until you're completely ready. You know, that's what screws people. again, I go back to like Nick Walker is a big time draw for the men's open bodybuilding, big time draw for fans, all of that. They are all expecting to see him there and expecting to see him on stage. This is the second year in a row that he's had to pull out. The first year, I hand it to him. It was a massive injury. He couldn't get on stage. I get that. Completely separate situation. This one sounds like he just can't get in shape, right? So there's a difference. There is a difference. And when you've committed to the show, follow through. Even if you're not at your best, tell people, say, listen, I'm not at my best, but I know you guys want to see me up there. I'm going to do it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I do think there are extenuating circumstances. I do think that, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you and your health. And we don't know what the scenario was. So I will give him a pass on that regard. But I'm just saying in general, if you've committed to doing the show, do it, right? Do it. Yep. So, it just shows your character, follow through with your commitment. Follow through with your commitment. I have no idea if he's going to be penalized or not. No idea. No idea what the repercussions are. I have no idea. So, yeah, the Arnold is a separate situation as well. If you don't think you can do it, don't apply. Period. And if you're not in shape, oh well, show up anyway. So, well, I would expect that there's some sort of a penalty, because even in a regular pro show, there's a penalty if you pull out after signing your contract. Even in a regular pro show, you get penalized. There is a fee. Okay. So, and a lot of people, again, Nick is a big draw. A lot of people are buying tickets to see him. Yeah, I agree. I think he'll lose fans. I agree. Yep. So it's like the boy who cried wolf. This is the second year in a row. Now I get it. Again, last year was different. Last year he could not walk. There's a difference, This year's that's not the case. So, okay, that's enough talk about that. I think we're all pretty much in agreement about that. I think that there's there's a plus and a minus. There's extenuating circumstances, all those kinds of things. But if you've made a commitment, honor your commitment. Honor your commitment. Do it, right? All righty. So, with that, and again, yeah, going back to at the end of the day, we don't know the backstory, but because he is such a public figure and because he puts so much out there about his prep and things like that, you would expect him to go into a little bit more detail if it was a health-related issue. You'd expect him to say, okay, this is specifically why, right? Does he necessarily have to? No, clearly he doesn't have to, but you just would think he would, So anyway, let's get back to why we're here, which is the Olympia predictions. So I'm going to go through my top 10. I have an order for my top 10, but I also have honorable mentions. These are girls that I think that will likely be in the first 2 call-outs that could be placing the top 15. Now, remember, if you are in the top 15, you will place. If you are not in the top 15, you are just in the sea of 16. There are going to be a lot of girls in the sea of 16. If you place in the top 10, you make it to finals. I believe that anybody that places in the top 15 could very easily place in the top 10. So, one of these, 2 of these, 3 of these girls could come in and shock. We always have somebody that's a shock of the year. Like I would say that Ariana Brothers was one of the ones from last year where she just kind of came out of nowhere. There's a few people that do that every year. There are those that just continuously kind of climb up in the ranks. And for them, I do have them also climbing up in the ranks. But then I've got some girls here who have had really good showings this year, and I think could end up coming in to the Olympia and doing very well. We are not talking about wellness, just bikini. I will cover wellness while I'm there in live in person, but we're not gonna go into that because we'd be here forever, and I just don't have time. I just don't have time. I'm just being honest. Bikini is what we're here for, so that's what we're sticking to. So let's pull up the list first of all. So the crazy part about it is that, yeah, we've got a lot of girls that are qualified, but really it kind of looks like almost like a normal pro show because these pro stars are getting so deep now. So here's our list. Okay, so here's our list of competitors, qualified bikini athletes. It is on Mr. Olympia, Bikini Olympia, MrOlympia.com, Bikini Olympia. These are all the ladies that are qualified from around the world. These are your top athletes in the world here. So with that said, I have pulled out the ones that I feel like, again, could be top 15. And again, if they could be in the top 15, then they could very easily make it up into that top 10. So I pulled out a few ladies that I think are could potentially be placing this year. And like I said, if they are placing, they could move up. So the ones that I have that could be in that like 10 to 15 range, let's start with them, okay? So first one that I have is Raina. So Raina has done very, very well this year. She's won 3 shows. She won 3 shows. It's right here. She's won 3 shows this year. She was Olympia qualified last year as well. I think with Raina is if she can fix her front pose and kind of get her whole look a little bit amped up, she's very comparable to girls like Laura Lee and to Ariana. She's very comparable to them. So what she needs to work on, really, in my opinion, is her glam and her front pose. She has a tendency to look pretty lower body dominant. Her overall like glam, hair, and suit need like an oomph up. Now, with it being the Olympia, I feel like that could definitely be something that she could be taking into consideration. She probably has one of the best records of this year. When you look at her overall record from this year, this is her right here, right? Her worst placing was at Pittsburgh Pro as 12th, which if you guys remember, Pittsburgh Pro this year was like a mini Olympia. So she still did very well. She still placed at Pittsburgh Pro. There are girls that are in the Olympia now that did not place at Pittsburgh Pro, right? So she placed 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 1st. She's done very, very well. And again, I believe her physique is very comparable to a Laura Lee or an Ariana. So if she comes in looking on point, she could absolutely be in the top 15, and she could even sneak her way up into the top 10. I could see her pushing out a few people in the top 10. I haven't placed her in my top 10 yet because we haven't seen her place at the Olympia yet, and that's the only reason why. But when we're talking about placings for this year, she has one of the best records this year. So we do have to definitely pay attention to her. If she can come in and she can nail that look, she could 100% be creeping up in that top 10, okay? As I say these competitors, go ahead and comment in. Let me know what you think. Am I way off base? Or do you agree with me? Or where do you see them? Or that kind of thing. I want this to be interactive. Go ahead and type in your 2 cents when it comes to Raina. The next one that I have here on the potentials is Maria. Okay, Maria fought super hard to get qualified for the Olympia. Then when she did, she won a couple of shows. So she's been a perennial top 5er for the last couple of years, right? She's gotten better and better and better. So, the last 2 shows that she did, she placed 1st, right? But she placed at the Pittsburgh Pro 4th. Again, we just talked about the Pittsburgh Pro being a mini Olympia, and she placed top 4 there. So I do see her being a potential to place. She could even move her way up to, I would say she could move her way up to probably as high as 11th or 12th. And I think that she could probably leapfrog a few people that were not expecting her to leapfrog. We haven't seen her on stage in just a couple of months, but that gives just enough time for her to take a break and then come back a little bit sharper and a little bit better. So yeah, and Marina does have a great back shot. Yep. And that's what I'm saying. She could definitely come. She could definitely hang when it comes to Ariana and to Laura Lee. So that's why I think she could definitely be a potential of somebody to pay attention to at this particular Olympia. Now again, Maria just overall, she always looks good, right? We're not expecting to see her come in off. So if she comes in on point, brings her confidence with her, things like that, I can absolutely see her placing. Not necessarily top 10 this year. I don't see a top 10 for her, but I do see like potentially as high as 11th or 12th. And I do see her placing at this particular Olympia. So she's my next one that I have in that 10 to 15 area, right? So yeah, she just doesn't have that. She's overall very good everywhere, but you're right. She's not like that POW competitor yet. That said, that could come if she brings the confidence. All right. Next one that I have is Rihanna. So Rihanna came out and killed it this year, got herself a couple of first places, ended the year in Tampa at a third place, but still that was right behind, Issa and all that. So she did very, very well, this year. That was her lowest placing, was third, right? Came in with 2 wins. She's got such a beautiful look to her, very natural flow to her physique. She's been to the Olympia before. She's coming back fresh. I just feel like she would be a really good example of somebody to be into that top 15, even potentially top 10. Rihanna could be like the one that replaces Daraja this year. I could see that happening. And in that scenario, she would be top 10. I could see her placing as high as potentially like a 9th place. More realistically, I would see her somewhere in, the 12 to 15 zone. But I do think she could be in those top 2 callouts. I do think she could be in those top 2 callouts. So she's absolutely one to be paying attention to. She just overall has that. Again, we were just talking about Maria. Rihanna has that wow factor. She has that pow. As soon as she walks on stage, you look at her. You know what I mean? So I think that Rihanna could absolutely be somebody that comes out and gets into that top 15, even potentially towards the bottom of the top 10. So she's my next one on the list. Then I have Evie. So Evie has, this is her last show that she won. These pictures aren't great. Let me see if this one's better. I don't know if this one's any better. Not really. But anyway, Evie's always a perennial potential, right? She's done the Arnold several times. She's always in those top zones. She's never, when she gets to these big shows, she's never like a winner, but she's always one that you pay attention to. Any show she goes into in Europe, she wins it. You know what I mean? So I do see her potentially being up in the top. She's got to bring it. She's got to not do anything crazy with her suit and her posing. Sometimes she goes too much on that European flair. So I don't know what she's going to bring to the Olympia. If she doesn't screw up her presentation aspect of it, and she comes in looking on point with that, then I think that she could do very well going into the Olympia here. Again, she's another one that's similar to Maria, where she always comes in looking good. The great aspect when she gets into these bigger shows, not really. She kind of tends to fall off a little bit when she jumps into these like the Arnolds and the Olympias and things like that. So, we'll see. Can she place? Yes. Will she place? I don't know. If she places, I think it's going to be outside the top 10. But I think it'll be somewhere between like 11 and 15. I think if she gets in there. Now, if she comes in off and she does not nail her presentation, then I expect to see her probably third call out-ish. I'd see her third call out-ish. But again, she could surprise us and actually, do well with her presentation. And if she does, then she's one definitely to watch. She's my next one on my list here. Next, I have one as Yulia. So, it took Yulia all year to qualify for the Olympia, but now she's won 2 shows in a row. She's kind of got her confidence at an all-time high at this point. She's coming in off of a win just a couple of weeks ago at Daytona. So I think she could end up shocking some people. If she's going to place, I put her towards the bottom of the top 15, probably, 13th to 15th, somewhere in that zone. But again, she's been tried and true war tested this year. You know what I mean? She has done a lot of shows. I think she did that 10, 11 shows this year. I mean, this is her shows this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 shows. She did 10 shows this year. She's done a lot. She's a workhorse. So, you know, coming in, you know, if she hadn't won Daytona, I probably wouldn't have her, you know, in this conversation, but she did win 2 in a row. And that was very recent. So I think she's on the judges' minds right now. So if she can come in and nail her conditioning, she tends to have an issue with coming in a little too hard, that kind of thing. You know, if she can nail all that, she could potentially be in those top 2 call outs, right? So I do have her as a potential here. Maybe so tiny, restricted credit. She's about the same height as Ashlyn. Yeah, agreed. Jordan is my next one that I have in the potential top 10. Again, coming off of a win, right? She's qualified for next year already because of Legions. To be honest with you, when I saw her glutes at Legion, I said this for Sasquatch too. When I saw her glutes, the first thing I thought of was Jennifer Dory. With her glutes, and overall has that wow factor now. I think she was lacking that a little bit in previous years. This year she has the wow factor. A lot of that has to do with the fact that she was able to take off pretty much the whole year, and now she's come back and she's qualified again already for next year. So that's a big deal. People underestimate what these final shows of the year can do for a competitor and their momentum. I do see her as a potential to squeak into the top 10 this year. I think she could very well place in the top 15. And I do think that she could potentially work her way into that top 10. You know, maybe she's towards the center of that second call out, that kind of thing where she gets, you know, 10th, 9th, that kind of area. Usually the first call out in the Olympia is 8 competitors. So I kind of see her getting into that second call out and working her way in towards the center. That's my thought process with her. So I do think if she makes it to the top 10, it's going to be somewhere around 9th or 10th, but I think she has the potential to do that. Next one that I have on my list is a big wild card, and that is, we don't have recent photos of her, is Angelica right here, because they didn't really put pictures up from the Arnold. But I have Angelica up. I do think that Angelica is another one that's like Jordan. I think she's going to get into the second call out. I think she's going to be moved into the center of second call out. I think she's going to make the top 10, probably 9th or 10th. I think that's probably where Angelica is going to land. She looks a lot better right now from what I've seen from the previews. She looks a lot denser than she was at the Arnold. But I don't necessarily think she's improved enough to get up into the top 5, right? I still think she probably needs some more density. I think she's improved, but I just see her. I see her at the bottom of top 10. I think the highest that she could place would be 8th. I think if she gets into the top call out, if she gets into first call out, she will be 8th. I currently have her sitting somewhere around 10th. So I have Jordan and I have Angelica sharing that 10th place spot. I do think that the two of them will likely be in the center of second call out. And then it'll be a matter of who looks better, who gets into the top 10. So, you know, it's kind of the same way that we saw happen with Phoebe and Jordan last year. Jordan ended up in the top 10. Phoebe ended up out. I think that's what's going to happen with Jordan and Angelica this year. So whoever comes in looking better is going to end up in the top 10. The other one's going to be 11th. That's my 2 cents on this. I don't necessarily see Angelica not making finals. I think she'll make finals, but I don't think I think it'll be like by this much, or like this much. So I do have her and Jordan sharing 10th place right now. So next in 9th, I have Jordan. So I have Jordan in 9th. We've only seen her once this year. So it's hard to determine what she's going to look like going into the Olympia because we've only seen her once this year. So here's her Clash victory right here. Let me go ahead and pull that up. I had the Olympia pictures up. I don't necessarily think that her Clash victory was overwhelming, but she was top 10 last year. So if she takes her critiques from the Clash and improves upon them, I don't see her being outside of the top 10 this year. I currently have her in ninth. I think that she could potentially move up, potentially not, potentially be out of the top 10. I don't know. I do have her in ninth. Again, we haven't seen her on stage much this year, so it's hard to kind of say where she's going to end up, right? So I have her in ninth right now. We'll see. Where did she actually end up in last? She was 10th last year, right? Is that where she was? Yeah, she was 10th last year. So I have her moving up a spot this year. Then I have Vanya. So Vanya has kicked ass this year. She let's see, what was her placing last year? She was 12th last year. So she was already placing last year. She was close last year. I think she's going to come in and she's going to make it into the top 10. I do have her in 8th right now. She won the UK Arnold. She, was top 4 at Pittsburgh. I think she was 3rd, right? Yeah, she was 3rd in Pittsburgh. She was 3rd at the Arnold. So she's not placed anything lower than 3rd this year, and they were all really competitive shows. So I do see her getting into the top 10 this year. I think she's going to be 8th. I think she's going to be just above Jordan. I think she's going to make it up into that bottom half of the top 10. And I think as long as she comes in on point, she could potentially move up from there too. Now, again, this is all if she comes in on point. If she doesn't, then she'll be outside the top 10. Any one of these girls, if they don't come in at their best, will be outside of the top 10. This is a very, very competitive lineup this year. So if they screw up at all, they'll be outside of the top 10. If they come in on point, if Vanya comes in on point, she will be in the top 10. Mark my words. I have her in 8th right now. Ashlyn, I have in 7th. So what was she last year? She was 8th last year, so I have her moving up a spot too. From what we've seen of Ashlyn this year, she's done better with her physique this year than last year. And again, she did place in the top 10 last year. She's been in the top 10 prior to that as well. We haven't seen her on stage much, but we have seen her win 2 shows this year. Or did she win just 1 show? Yeah, she just won 1 show. I thought she won 2 shows. That's my bad. That was last year. Last year she won 2 shows. This year she only did 1 show. So again, we haven't seen her on stage much, but she did win the 1 show she came out, and she did look better in this 1 show. And she pretty much nailed it like to a T, nailed it. So I do expect her to be back in the top 10 this year, and I do think she's going to move up a spot. So I do have her in my 6th place position for her. Next, I have Ariana. So after her performance at Pittsburgh, I would not have put her back in the top 10, but she came back. And I don't think she was 100% at Battle of the Bodies, but she did enough to get her win. And I do think that she will be back better here at the Olympia. I don't know if she's got enough in her to get up into the top 5. She's got to be really, really good to be in the top 5. But like I said, she is going to compare well with Laura Lee and also with Raina. So between the 3 of them, they have very similar frames. They have very similar looks from the back. So I think whoever comes in best will end up in that top 10. I'm giving the nod here to Ariana because she was there last year, right? That said, if she comes in a little off, then Raina could be taking that spot. So just keep that in mind. But I do have Ariana in the 6th place position right now. That has her moving up a little bit. Still in the top 10, not quite the top 5 yet. I do think that she has the potential to be a Miss Bikini Olympia one day, probably a couple of years from now. But I do think she's going to move up as long as, again, with the caveat that she comes in at her best. Just like I said with Vanya, as long as they come in at their best, they're going to move up. So that's my 6th place position. Okay, we are up into the top 5. We are up into the top 5, and I probably have a different top 5 than anyone else I've seen. So as far as order is concerned, but I'm pretty solid on my order. Pretty solid on my order, and I have reasons for it. So my 5th place position goes to Issa. Let me pull up her Texas Pro position here. Her win. All right, there we go. So I have Issa in 5th place. I still think she needs more density in her glutes in order to kind of match her conditioning from the front. But I think she's done a really good job in improvements this year. I do think she is going to be in 5th this year. What was she last year? She was 5th last year. So I think she's going to be right on point, right in the same spot. And it's not because of anything that she did or didn't do right or wrong. I just think that the competition around her is getting that much harder. So holding on to a 5th place spot is nothing to sneeze at. I think she's still going to be in that 5th place. I think she's still going to be in the top 5. But I just think that in order for her to get up any higher from here, she's got to take some time to just really fill those glutes out, make sure that they're nice and dense, because she's competing against girls who have done that. So she has come a very, very long way, and I think she looks really, really good, but I don't think she's going to move up. I think she's going to be right in that same position. So I still do have her in the top 5. Again, nothing to sneeze at. She's hanging out. But she's got some other people she's got to deal with, and she's got some work to do. She's got some work to do. So I do have her in my 5th place spot. So let's get up into the top 4. Next, in 4th place, I have Ashley. I have Ashley in 4th place. I actually think Ashley looks better now than she did last year. I think her physique is better. I think her overall look is better, but she was beaten a few times this year by people that kind of shouldn't have beat her. So that made me push her down just a little bit because of that, but also because she was beaten by some of these top contenders too. So, Ashley, I'll be honest with you, Ashley could be as high as 1st place. Ashley could be as high as 1st place here. I don't see her winning the title again, personally, but it's not out of her reach. There's a lot of things that are being shaken up this year, and because of that, it's definitely a possibility. It's definitely a possibility that she could get up into that top spot. She could. So I don't want to take that away from her because I do think that that's within her grasp. But personally, I have her in 4th. Now, that is with the caveat of the people that I have in the top 3 being better and being on point. And I say that very cautiously because this has been proven to not be the case sometimes in the past for some of these ladies. So if these girls that I have in the top 3 come in off, Ashley could leapfrog over them. But there's a few names I haven't said yet, and they have beaten her in the past. So I have to look at that, and I have to take that into consideration here, and thinking if they all come in at their best, that Ashley is going to be in 4th. All right, top 3. Before I get into top 3, anybody want to put their 2 cents in? I mean, we all know who I haven't said yet. We all know the 3 I haven't said yet. So who's going to be my top 3? Who's going to be my top 3? Who's your top 3? I'll give it a minute. Go ahead, tell me. Tell me who you got for your top 3. I'll give it a minute. I know that the live stream is behind as far as the comments coming in, so I'll give it a minute. Who do you have? What do you have for your order for top 3? Clearly, we have 3 girls that are top 5 contenders that I have not said yet. So that gives you an idea of who my top 3 are. Laurelie, Maureen, obviously. Come on, we got a lot of y'all on this live stream. Y'all got to have your predictions. You got to have your predictions. Come on, put them in. Maureen, Amy, Laura Lee. So we got Maureen in third, Amy in second, Laura Lee in first. Tell me who you got for first, second, third. Tell me, because I don't know which order you guys are posting them in here too. So tell me. Amy, Laura Lee, Maureen. I think any combo of the top can win. It's so hard to. I had Maureen, Isa, Ashley, my top three. Amy, you haven't mentioned Jasmine yet. I don't know if I see her in the top three, probably top 10. Oh, this is going to be a good one. We might witness the 11th Miss Bikini Olympia. Yep. And yes, Amy. Yeah, I didn't say Jasmine because she won one show this year and she was beaten by Rihanna. So I didn't put her in my top. Yes, Amy, Ashley, Amy, Maureen, Laura Lee. Amy, Ashley, Maureen. Yeah, tell me who you got first, second, third, because I don't know which order y'all are posting them in. So tell me who you got in first, second, third. First, Amy, second, Maureen, third, Laura Lee. All right, well, I'm going to let you guys keep going with that. But my prediction here might surprise some people just because I think you guys know that I think that the person that has the best, bikini physique in general is Maureen. I've said that. I've been very open about that. That I think Maureen is actually the best standard that we have right now. But so my order might surprise some people. I just have no idea which order. If Laura Lee shows up at 100%, it's game over. Past data shows she often isn't at the so hard to say. See, and I'm saying even if so, I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into that in a second. All right. First, Ashley. Second, Amy. Third, Maureen. Fourth, Laura Lee. All right, you ready? You ready for my top three? Okay, here's my third. I have Maureen in third. Which, again, I think might surprise some people because I've mentioned before that she is my favorite bikini physique. But I don't think she's going to be at 100% this year. I just feel it in my gut that she's going to be off. And when Maureen is off, she's very beatable. She comes in a little bit too soft, that kind of thing. I love her physique regardless, but I just don't see her winning it this year. I just don't see it happening this year. Now, I won't be mad if she does, because again, she is my favorite bikini physique. I've put it out there several times. She is my favorite bikini physique. But I just don't think she's going to win it this year. I just don't. I think she's going to be in the third place position. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think? And while I'm waiting for you guys to answer, for that live stream to catch up, I'll go into my top two. Ready? You ready? Who do I got in second? This particular person has, I've predicted her to win so many times and she hasn't. So I am putting her in second, and that's Laura Lee. I have Laura Lee in second place. I think that even if Laura Lee comes in at her absolute best, I still think she's going to be in second. And the reason why is because Laura Lee is a genetic freak. And I say that in the most complimentary way, her physique is, in my opinion, unattainable for most people. It's unattainable for most people. So I believe she's going to be, even if she's in her very best condition ever, I still believe she's going to be in second. Okay. I still believe she's going to be in second place. I have put her in first place in my predictions so many times, and it has not worked out. So I am going to put her in my second place position. So with that, you all know who I have in first, and that's Amy. And I know that that's kind of a long shot, but here's my reasoning behind this. Every time Amy has competed this year, she's been at 100%. Every time she has competed this year, she has beaten top names this year, except for Laura Lee at the Arnold, and she only lost by 1 point. And that was with the two of them being the top contenders. I think that when you get other people in there, like your Maureens and your Ashleys, those two particular competitors specifically are going to take some of the judges' votes away. So they're going to get some first places. I think that Maureen and Ashley are both going to get some first places from the judges. So I think that when it all breaks down with the scores, I think we're going to see Amy come out on top. And the reason for that is because I believe that Amy has a very attainable look to her. I believe that she is very well balanced. I believe she has taken all of the judging feedback all year and just improved upon it. Every time she got on stage this year, she tried something a little bit different so that the judges could see it and tell her if they liked it or if they didn't. And every time that she tried something different, it was because of judging feedback. And they still rewarded her with every change she made. I think the mistake that Amy made last year was she competed too much close to the Olympia. This year she hasn't done that. I think she played her season really, really well this year. I think the only reason why she was in sixth place last year was because she was a little bit off. I think that she's going to come in at 100%. I think that she has taken all of her feedback and she has created probably the best package she possibly can. And I think that, again, she's beaten Ashley in the past. I think she got very close to beating Laura Lee in the past. And I think that when it all shakes out, she's going to win by like 1 or 2 points. That's it. I think she's going to win by 1 or 2 points. Personally, I would be happy with any one of these top 4 girls that I mentioned winning it. I think they all have very, very different physiques. But when I look at Miss Bikini Olympia and I look at what that physique should represent, it should be someone that another girl coming into the sport looks up at and says, I can look like that. And I think that that's what Amy brings. I think Maureen brings that as well. But again, I think that Amy is just gonna take all the data that she collected this year and she's gonna apply it to this show. So, yep. Everybody wants to look like Amy. Amy looks like that girl that's attainable. And that is what Miss Bikini Olympia should be. Across the board, that is what Miss Bikini Olympia should be. I think that her presentation is on point. I don't think she's over the top with anything. I don't think that she goes overboard with her posing. I don't think she does anything so crazy or out of the box with her presentation. I think that she is across the board the most attainable physique other than Maureen in this lineup. I do not agree that Amy's physique is less attainable than Laura Lee. Laura Lee's genetics are completely different than everybody else. Laura Lee does not look like anybody else. And I say that in the most complimentary way. I say that in the most complimentary way. But nobody has glutes like Laura Lee. Nobody has a waistline like Laura Lee. Laura Lee is a category unto herself, which again is not a bad thing. It's phenomenal. I think she looks amazing. I think she's an awesome athlete. And I think she looks phenomenal when she's on point, but nobody looks like her. And when we talk about Bikini Olympia, that particular person needs to be someone that girls look at and say, my body could look like that. My body could look like that, right? I think a lot of people look at Laura Lee and say, I could never look like that, right? I think it's just, honestly, I think what makes Laura Lee's physique unattainable is her glutes. It's just not, and again, I don't say that as a knock to her. I think she has phenomenal glutes, but I just don't know anybody else that has glutes like her. I think the closest ones that we have are Raina and Ariana. I think they're the ones that are closest to comparing with Laura Lee, but I think both of them, actually, Raina and Ariana, both have more attainable looks to their glutes than Laura Lee does. So, no, I agree that Maureen has a very attainable physique, but I just don't think she's going to be at 100% this year. I've said it 1,000 times. I think that Maureen has the best bikini physique, period. So, Amy really does not have that much muscle. I mean, I've seen her clearly. I know her and I've seen her in person. She really doesn't have that much muscle. She's a very petite girl. She looks like she's thick, but in real life, she's really not that thick. She's like a, I don't even know what her waistline is. It's like 20 inches. It's teeny. She's tiny. She just has really good proportions. And honestly, I think the only thing that keeps Ashley out of the top spot again, there's two things. Her presentation. I think Ashley's presentation, her posing, keeps her out of the top spot. And her waistline. Those are the two things I think that keep Ashley out of the top spot. I think she's come a long way. Again, I think she's improved a lot. I really do. But those are the two things that I see as where she needs to improve in order to get into the top spot at the Olympia again. Yeah, Amy, I mean, when you see Amy in person, no makeup, just sitting around, like, she's a beautiful girl. She looks healthy. She's a mom. She has it's a great look. It's a great look. It really is. Yep. She is. She's teeny in person. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? We've been on for almost an hour, so I'll leave it open for a couple more minutes for you guys to put your 2 cents in. I think a bikini, it's supposed to be attainable like an Amy or a Jordan. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And that's why I say also with Ariana, like, I think Ariana is very comparable to Laura Lee, but I think Ariana actually has a more attainable look than Laura Lee even does. So I think that Ariana is a future Miss Bikini Olympia. I don't think she's going to win it this year, but I think she will eventually. Ashley still competed a lot this year. She just hasn't competed in the last month or so, but she's competed a lot. So in regard to any competitor competing once or twice a year, it depends on the person. I think in order to be a top contender, I think competing a few times is a good idea because then you get feedback, right? So, with Amy, she competed a few times. She competed at the Arnold. She competed Pittsburgh, New York, and she got good feedback at each one of those shows. Those are big shows, got in front of the top judges, got the good feedback, all those kinds of things. I think that's perfect, So, only competing once a year, like Laura Lee, competed in the Arnold. Maureen only competed at the Olympia. I think that can be detrimental. I think that, getting on stage a couple of times. Oh yeah, she competed at Wasatch too. I forgot about that. In regard to looking too big at Wasatch, I really think it was the lighting on the stage. I don't think it was the girls. I don't think it was the girls being too big. I think it was the lighting at the show. That really hard one directional lighting can make you look like a freak. That's why they call, the gym lighting, the anabolic lighting, the one directional lighting makes you look really, really big in comparison. And I don't think it was the girls. I think it was the lighting. Amy is the edge over Laura Lee. She has gotten so much feedback and delivered. Yeah, she's delivered on feedback. Absolutely. I think it would have been advantageous of Laura Lee to get on stage a couple of times and kind of just get some feedback, And I mean, I understand why she didn't. I understand why she just did the Arnolds and just left it at that, I think. But I would love for Amy to win, but at least first since she's a former champion. But yeah, but the only former champion that's come back and won their title back has been Jennifer. Every other former champion is lost the next time they came in. The only one that's won it back has been Jennifer. It's hard to judge for athletes when and done for bikini, and even difficult to see the wellness. Mm-hmm. So, at the end of the day, anyone that I have in this top 10 could end up shocking. I mean, that's anyone that I've mentioned today could end up shocking people, right? I mean, who knows? We could see Angelica come out and end up in the top 5. Who knows? I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but it could. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, one of the big ones that has a big question mark next to it that I think could shock a lot of people is Raina. I think if Raina comes in and looks on point, I mean, she could stand right up there with Laura Lee and with Ariana. So who knows? Maybe we'll see somebody like a Raina come in and get 5th or 6th. It's very possible. It's very possible. It's honestly, it's going to come down to who looks the best on show day. And even at that, I think that the top 4 girls are all going to get some first place votes from the judges. I don't think it's going to be a hands down win across the board for anyone. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I really think it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, that's potential for Ashlyn to place higher and Ari lower, but it's hard to make that determination because Ashlyn only competed once. So you can say that, but Ashlyn only competed once, so we don't really know what she's going to bring, So we will see. We will see. A lot of times it just has to do with how hungry these girls are too. If they really want it, they can come back and just shock the world. You know what I mean? If they're kind of complacent, somebody else could leapfrog over them. So it's going to be fun. Regardless of how this works out, it's going to be very interesting to see. And we are going to have a new champion, maybe a returning champion, but it's going to be new from last year. So Jennifer won't be it. But, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at any of these girls. Amy would be great. Yeah, I think she would be a great ambassador. I agree. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Here's the thing though, even with Laura Lee looking small now, she's a big girl, like as far as being tall. And if she feels that, I know for myself, I look super stringy the weeks leading into a show. It's not till I start eating that I fill out. So if they fill her out right, should be good. We don't know until they get on stage and stand next to each other. We don't know until they get on stage and stand next to each other. So, at the end of the day, like I said, I think the top 4 is going to be very, very tight, just like it was last year. I think the top 4 is going to be very, very tight. It was the top 3 last year that was tight, but I think it's going to be very, very tight between the top 4. And It's going to come down to which one gets the most first place votes, and that's it. Because I don't think it's going to be a hands down victory for anyone. I don't think it's going to be a hands down victory for anyone. I think they're all going to give each other a run for their money. I do. So with that, you guys, if you didn't notice, right before I went live tonight, Behind the Bikini went up. So our Behind the Bikini that we shot this morning was released this evening. So take a look at that. We talked about this past weekend. We talked about Olympia hype, all that stuff. So go ahead and watch that for your cardio, theater, or whatever you want it for. I will be vlogging again this week. I vlogged the last 2 shows. Once the Olympia is over and I'm home for a few weeks, I'll be able to actually put those videos together and release them for you guys. But I do plan on vlogging because, again, I'm kind of in a reverse mode myself. So I'll be talking about that as well and doing this on the road while being at the Olympia. I look forward to, I'm actually going to get together here with John with Cruising the Bodybuilding World when we get into town and kind of try to work together to get some good coverage for you guys. I appreciate him coming on and always supporting my streams and things like that as well. So I look forward to doing that. Hopefully we'll get you guys some good content that way as well. Feel free to reach out and let me know if there's something in particular you want to see coverage of. I'm going to, again, use this as kind of like a vlogging experience again and just grab footage where I can grab footage and take it from there. I got a lot from the last couple of weeks, so I hope you guys enjoy that. If you're at the Olympia and you see me, say hi. This weekend's going to be fun. I'm taking the opportunity to go train at some of the gyms in town and things like that too. So not just the Olympia experience, but the Vegas experience too. I used to live in Vegas. It's been a long time since I lived in Vegas, but I used to live in Vegas. So I'm looking forward to getting back there and having some fun and having some downtime. I've been going nonstop, as you guys know, if you've been following me at all. I've been going nonstop with shows. So I'm looking forward to kind of relaxing a little bit and enjoying just being there as a fan too. Of course, I'm going to get you guys coverage as well, but I'm looking forward to just experiencing it too. So I hope you guys have a great evening. Tomorrow, I'm going to be getting myself fully put together to get to Vegas. So hopefully we don't have any issues with travel, and everybody in Florida stay safe. I hope that the storms don't mess everybody's travel plans up. I hope all the girls that were in Florida got out before the hurricane hits. And on that note, I gotta go because I gotta go eat, and I still got more steps to get in. So we will see how this goes. But thank you guys for interacting with this one. I wanted to do it live and wanted to have fun. And everybody's got all of their opinions out there, which I think is fantastic. And regardless, that's what makes this fun, right? And like I said, whoever does win it this year, whoever's in the top 5, I congratulate them. Everything that we do here on the live is just kind of for fun. Mine align perfectly with yours, Sean. Wish the live stream posted my comment in time. Yeah, I saw that, Maya. I saw your comment. So it's always a couple minutes behind. I'm sorry. I'm fixing my lip liner because it's annoying me. Hold on. My lip liner is annoying me. There. I fixed it. Fixed it. It's been annoying me. So I'm looking at my face. I'm like, that's bad. Anyway, have a great night, you guys. Again, I will keep you guys in the loop as much as I can. Follow on my Insta stories. You guys know if you want up to the minute, what am I looking for? Coverage. Insta stories, where it's at, right? And then of course we'll have the wrap up and all that kind of stuff afterwards too. So let's see how this goes.